Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So we've got the blockchain backer here. He's saying the one-day time frame breadth indicator just flipped to the on position. Guys, check this out. Here's the altcoin breadth flip signal. And guess what just flipped? The switch has been flipped to bullish, as you guys can see. Back in November, we did see the same thing here. Okay, indicator flipping to bullish, and then we did see those new highs. Same thing happened back in February of 2024 and October of 2023. So we are seeing that now, possibly suggesting that we are in for another impulsive move. And so now that begs the question, could this be the impulsive move? For more information on how I'm treating this bull run, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. That's where I give my Patreon subscribers more insight and more detail on where I'm going to be trading, price targets, all that great stuff, how much I'm going to be keeping. Because I mean, the picture could look different today than it will, 2-3 weeks down the road. We just don't know all the factors. And so I'm keeping my thumb on the pulse. Patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Blockchain backer here continues by saying it doesn't give insight into short-term momentum or if prices will correct sideways for the weeks ahead. But what it does give us is the past 5 years confirm that the bottom is in, including last September. So another good indication, guys, that we are moving up. And XRP even did just recently see a new localized high just a few hours ago. As of the time of this recording, we did see XRP get up to very, very close to $2.44 per coin. So let me just put a price label on there, $2.438. Currently, we are seeing one XRP trading for about $2.39. So it has been climbing very steadily since Wednesday. Today is Saturday, May the 10th. If you guys are watching this video on the day that I'm releasing it, the overall picture for XRP too, guys, looking very bright. When we zoom out on the daily, you guys can see here, the downward trend has now stopped, and we are now forming what is looking like an upward trend. So higher lows and hopefully higher highs are coming in next. That next level that we do have to break up here, my guess is somewhere in and around here, $2.60, $2.63 if we were to take this peak from back in March of 2025. So let's get there. We are getting very, very close. You guys can see fear and greed still in the 70s. That's a good sign. Altcoin season at 36 out of 100. And the market is still steadily increasing. Okay, not by much today, but it is still in the green, $3.28 trillion. Same with the volume. Bitcoin is up by 0.65%. We got Ethereum. That's also up 2.89%. XRP is up by a little bit in the last 24 hours, 0.41. BNB coin is up 2.54. Dogecoin up another 9%, over 9% just in the last 24 hours alone. So some altcoins are going to outperform, of course, the biggest performer. Well, no, not the biggest performer, but the biggest crypto that we should be paying attention to in the moment is Bitcoin. Wow, that looking very, very positive. Now, guys, just eyeing 109 per coin. That is really now what we have to break up against. Bitcoin's doing quite well, though. I'm not too concerned. 103.6. It did reach 104 even just yesterday. So keeping our eyes on that. CryptoCon here commenting the 4-year cycle is dead, and he puts it in quotes here because he's been hearing that from a lot of people. And, I've been doing my research. Again, there are going to be different factors that are going to help propel the 4-year cycle theory, or we get stopped in our tracks. Again, this is what I'm analyzing in depth. I mean, the Patreon is pretty much for those who are trading, for those who want to know price targets, for those who are interested in XRP, Bitcoin, and a handful of other altcoins that I'm trading. Some mainstream ones, some odd ones. Really, though, it's pretty much my trading roadmap that I'm opening up to all my Patreon subscribers. CryptoCon, though, saying, yet every time the Bitcoin cycle continues to push forward, he says, I laid out the path in January of 2023 with the November 28th cycle theory, and everything has fallen perfectly in line. The idea is that the theory in having cycles theory is that 2025, so that is the red year, is the year of the bull market and the cycle top. So let's take a look up here. Again, he's got his November 28th cycle theory. You guys can see we are getting very, very close to the top there when you compare market activity to where we were in the past. So everything here is checking out. He gives some detailed dates here, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm considering a whole bunch of factors before I make that decision. So again, you know where to find me if you guys want to see what my trading moves are going to be. This is breaking too from Amelie here, the Boris Stuttgart CEO. He just said crypto is going mainstream and that the EU has a head start over the United States. Listen to this.
Among the traditional European exchange groups, we have the largest crypto business and digital assets business. So what's happening in crypto? Crypto is going mainstream, right? More and more people have digital assets, have cryptocurrencies, right? That's a secular trend. Also, more and more traditional institutional investors embrace crypto. More and more traditional financial institutions, also across Europe, and we are their infrastructure partner. So is the US ahead in terms of regulation when it comes to compared to Europe? I wouldn't say so. And it's interesting. It's a great question. And it's interesting you're asking this question. In fact, Europe is ahead. We have a regulation. It's called MiCAR, right? It is now in effect, and it's not a bad regulation. And if you compare that with the regulatory fragmentation in the US, Europe even has a head start. Of course, now we need to make sure with all this dynamic and political support in the US that we do not fall behind again.
So some critical points here. The United States is behind, but that could change. The MiCA or MiCA, I like saying MiCA, but I know everybody calls it MiCA, so I guess I'm going to start calling it MiCA. The MiCA regulations are already put in place, or have already been put in place in Europe, and they already have a strong, robust ecosystem over there. Now, to that point, I mean, it certainly doesn't help that we have bickering back and forth at the SEC level, but also in government. Crypto Eddie posting this. This is not a settlement. So with regards to the Ripple SEC case, apparently Commissioner Caroline Krenshaw puts out her strong dissent statement. She wants to gut its own enforcement program from the inside out. Oh, so she's doubling down. She's saying, no, I disagree. Here's what she wrote. Okay, this was just posted a couple of days ago in December of 2020 under Chair Jay Clayton. The SEC sued Ripple Labs, as we know. We allege that Ripple and its leaders raised capital to finance their business through the sale of XRP, depriving investors of information, so on and so forth. On the parties' cross motion of summary judgment, the court found that Ripple's institutional sales of XRP constituted unregistered securities. Do we have more here? Is there? Oh yeah, we've got the full statement here. Let's just go down and see if we can find something juicy. Oh, here she says, okay, at bottom, I have full confidence in the arguments our agency made to the Second Circuit on appeal and equal confidence in the talent of SEC attorneys who advanced those arguments. That motivates my dissent today. Our agency is, I fear, worried that the appellate court would issue a sound ruling that agreed with the legal arguments already laid out by the commission. That would undermine the agency's new apparent mission of dismantling our crypto enforcement program and eroding investor protections. For these reasons, I cannot support our settlement. I urge the courts to take a long, hard look at the commission's attempt to claw back the meritorious claims it previously made and gut its own enforcement program from the inside out. Boy, strong words there by Caroline Krenshaw. Kind of a joke. I mean, we do know she is part of the Democratic Party. Even Cowboy Crypto here pointing this out. This is all I need to know about Caroline Krenshaw and her hatred towards cryptocurrency. Look who she donated to in 2016? And again, another donation in 2016 to Hillary Clinton. Also, education, Harvard University. I don't know how that ties in. Put it down in the comments if you have some insight on that. She got some nominations there from former President Biden. What else do we have here? Anyway, I think we get the point. It really is unfortunate because, this is a bipartisan issue. Eleanor Turret posting this, just spoke with banking GOP chair Senator Tim Scott, who said political repercussions for Democrats who voted against moving towards the Genius Act today on Thursday will be painful. So this doesn't have to do with the Ripple SEC case. This now has to do with the Genius Act. He added that he hopes the inevitable backlash from the crypto industry encourages them to realign and help get the bill passed. Scott voiced frustration with the bill's Democratic co-sponsors, Senators Gillibrand and also Brooks, who ultimately voted no despite Republicans making major concessions, including revisions of anti-money laundering rules, a shortened timeline for stablecoin issuers to become US-based, and enhanced national security safeguards. And here's a quote, "If you can get so much of what you want and you still can't say yes, I don't get it," he says. Going forward into next week and beyond, Scott remains hopeful that Democrat lawmakers and the two Republican holdouts, who are Holly and Paul, will recognize the broader implications of how a lack of access to stablecoins undermines financial inclusion and innovation. Interesting. Genius Act bill was voted 49 in favor, 48 against, but Senate Leader Thune then changed his vote to no to enable the Senate to revisit the legislation at a future date. Republican Senators Hawley and Rand Paul voted with the Democrats. The vote was not about the content of the bill, but the cloture or an agreement to avoid endless debate, a filibuster, which requires the support of 66% of senators present. So, some more tweaking to do, I guess. It is the unfortunate state of where we're at today, but nevertheless wanted to thank Eleanor Turret, Cowboy Crypto, of course, Sentosumo Saba, and Amelie there, and CryptoCon, yeah, not to mention the blockchain backer. Oh yeah, I guess one more thing about the Genius Act. The Senate just killed the most important crypto bill in U.S. history. After months of bipartisan work, the Genius Act had real momentum until Elizabeth Warren rallied Democrats in the last minute to revolt. So I guess Elizabeth Warren also had her part to play in this, unfortunately. But that's okay, guys. We've got XRP adoption growing around the world. Like Ripple partner Zil Money, they just received an HIPAA compliance certificate. So this is one of those brand new Ripple partners that joined a consortium a few months ago. Zil Money Corporation, a leading US-based cloud payment technology company, did announce that it has received a Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act certification, reinforcing its commitment to protecting sensitive financial and healthcare-related data for businesses across industries. That's the beauty of blockchain and DLT technology. Now we can do more than just cross-border payments. And a lot of these companies that we know are Ripple-enabled are expanding and having available, I guess, new technological solutions for old problems like KYC, security, right? You can now put things on the blockchain and have your businesses more secure. Here's a quote: "Our mission has always been to provide businesses with secure, efficient, and innovative payment solutions." So, of course, on the payment end, they're still doing their thing. Achieving this HIPAA certification demonstrates our commitment to the highest level of data protection and regulatory compliance. We are excited to continue empowering businesses with tools that they can trust. So I see that as a home run for Ripple partner Zil Money. I'm going to continue along because Michael Branch also commented on the RLUSD, just kind of going back to stablecoins. And despite the fact that, although the Genius bill is being held up, Ripple is still minting RLUSD, and it did just recently skyrocket 136% in volume as XRP bullish momentum does hold. So with regards to XRP moving, we're seeing another spike in RLUSD activity, guys. The upsurge aligns with the general breakout in the crypto sector, so that's positive. According to CoinMarketCap, RLUSD actually did soar 130% in transaction volume within the last 24 hours. So looks like the retail side is also going to be using RLUSD to preserve their gains. And I mean, if it is integrated on the XRP ledger, some people were asking me, is it possible to, trade your XRP natively on, like on the Sum app, for example, and keep your profits in RLUSD? I'm not entirely sure. I think that's a question for Vin, but I think that is where the trend is moving. And guys, we're seeing that now with spikes in RLUSD volume. The bullish breakout in the market could have triggered the spike as investors seek stablecoins to acquire more assets. This development makes the spike in volume significant given the RLUSD is relatively new to the system. However, RLUSD's determination to make an impression in the stablecoin market is paying off, and users are embracing the token. So I guess the other thing is it doesn't have to be on an XRPL native exchange, because Gemini, for example, they just announced that they will be supporting the RLUSD, and I do believe, so there's MoonPay, Uphold, Bitstamp, and LMAX. Those are other cryptocurrency exchanges that are also doing the same. So interesting to say the least. Wanted to thank Michael for pointing that out. And guys, I'm guessing that maybe Facebook has changed their mind again. I think because, it's becoming clear the landscape is becoming more favorable to cryptocurrencies and stablecoins in particular, that Meta, with Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, they're all planning to enable crypto stablecoin payments for their 3.35 billion users. Now, I want to remind you, for those of you guys who were not here back in 2019, Facebook already tried to release a stablecoin called Libra. And it failed. And I think it was because that, I'm pretty certain it's because there were no regulations at that time. And the banking giants were like, nah, so here's just an article if you guys want to, brush up on what had happened back then, back 6 years ago now? Yeah, 6 years ago. Wow. It's funny because, we at the time, I remember talking about this on the channel. We were saying how, and even Brad Garlinghouse was saying, there's a redundancy now with multiple stablecoins, because with the XRP ledger, you don't need to have different stablecoins to perform different solutions. However, it's 2025 now, and a multitude of US-backed stablecoins are flooding the market, regardless of the fact that XRP can solve for this problem. Nevertheless, Facebook is coming out with their own. Listen to this.
Meta is now in talks with a number of crypto companies as it considers introducing stablecoins as a way to manage payouts. This is coming from a new report in Fortune magazine. It comes years after Meta's earlier attempt, you'll remember, at a cryptocurrency blew up. Fortune saying that Meta's recent outreach to crypto companies focuses on the ability of stablecoins to pay individuals in different regions without the high fees that would be traditionally associated with other forms of payment. It also says that Meta has now hired a new vice president of product with crypto experience to help move those discussions along. So you remember that whole adventure that they went on, that ultimately Libra, that didn't make it, but this may be the next incarnation.
You remember I got a lot of play when I said this is like the dumbest thing ever. It was centralized. Compared to Bitcoin, there was nothing Libra had to offer. I said it the day it was announced.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that was entirely the reason, but it wasn't the idea of Libra. I think it was just that Facebook was ahead of the game, really, at that time. Anyway, wanted to thank Ash Crypto for pointing that out. Another one from Michael Branch here, guys, bringing this to our attention. So with regards to the legislation, guys, it's getting a bit sticky. Elon Musk's X Money is also running into problems. X Money payment system hits a roadblock in New York. The X Money payment system did hit a roadblock in New York as regulators are denying the company a critical operation license. So two Manhattan Democrats, Assembly Member Micah Lashner and State Senator Brad Hoylman, Signal sent a letter on Monday to the NYDFS, and they're opposing the X Corp's application for a money transmitter license. Now, I wonder if that is a technical reason, if there's technical reasons behind that, or if it's political reasons, because they don't like Elon Musk. Again, this is too democratic. They made a point to mention that here. Two Manhattan Democrats. They say what we're talking about is nothing less than Elon Musk becoming a permanent part of the country's financial infrastructure. So that's how they're framing it, with access to enormous quantities of customer data, including the data of New Yorkers. I think it would be a grossly irresponsible and contrary to the law. So they are making decisions based on politics, not based on finance. Sounds pretty typical to me. Anyway, that's the story there, guys. I don't know if I have much else to tell you, other than the fact that, I think eventually this will get sorted. I think if they have to go to court, they will. All these technological platforms are going to have something, a stable coin, whether it's Facebook's new Libra coin, if it's going to be called Libra again, probably they'll call it something different, or whether we have X Money allowing their customers to send money over the Twitter X platform. All this is going to be sorted out. This is the plan for the future in the United States. The stablecoin bill will get sorted. It's all just going to bring more utility to the XRP cryptocurrency, that native crypto that is running on the XRP ledger. And the more utility we have, the more demand there'll be, and therefore the price will rise. Then we get this out of the blue. Okay, wellgistics, they just secured a $50 million equity line of credit to pioneer the use of XRP as both a treasury reserve and for real-time payments infrastructure. This one courtesy of the Wrath of Kahneman, guys. Check this out. So they are a technology-first pharmaceutical distribution and healthcare infrastructure company, and they just announced a new initiative to pioneer the use of XRP, a blockchain-based digital currency, as both a treasury reserve and real-time payment infrastructure, which management believes, upon successful commercialization, would make wellgistics among the first publicly traded healthcare companies to deploy XRP in this manner. So this is now one of the first times I think I'm seeing companies wanting to adopt XRP, not strictly for payments, because listen to this, okay? This is for a treasury reserve and real-time payment infrastructure. So they do want to use it for payments, but they also want to use it as a store of value. This XRP payment initiative is supported by wellgistics Health, $50 million equity line of credit, and the proceeds of which will be utilized to further develop and unlock programmability, liquidity, and on-demand financial infrastructure designed to eliminate banking delays, reduce costs, and increase transparency across its national healthcare network. So this is pretty big, I think. And the fact that they want to do this within their ecosystem, I think, also does speak volumes. It makes sense that, bigger companies, medium to big companies would want to have, their own ecosystem, not be so interoperable and just use one solution. And guys, they're choosing XRP. At Wellgistics Health, we challenge the idea that healthcare has to be tethered to legacy systems, bloated intermediaries, and slow-moving money, says Brian Norton, the CEO. He says we are developing a platform that connects manufacturers directly to pharmacies and patients and bypass the red tape. So here they focus on the speed, the cost, transparency, and the scope, of course, using XRP as that treasury mechanism as well. I think personally is the thing that is more interesting to me. It's one thing when a business just wants their business to work. And sure, an obvious solution is using XRP. But both as a treasury reserve and real-time payments infrastructure, guys, that gets me thinking that, more and more businesses, I'm sure these guys have had, I'm sure they definitely 100% had meetings with Ripple. They realize the price of XRP is going to go up if they do want to HODL as a treasury reserve. And, this is probably just one of the first times we'll be seeing this. I think down the road, we're going to see more and more companies decide to hold XRP for long-term gains. Of course, it would help the bottom line of the company, and it's going to benefit all their holders as well. That's just my opinion. And for more opinions on where I think this market's going to go, follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Also, real quickly, the Working Money Channel merch store is on fire. You guys are loving the Send It Astronaut tee. Yeah, that was a new design I came up with last month. We're going to send this thing to the moon, guys. Link is in the description of the video if you guys are interested in supporting the channel in another way. Again, just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.